Good morning, you guys. It's Deepesha. So today I am here to talk about my favorite sunscreens slash sunscreen products. I have a lot of sunscreens. I've been experimenting with a lot of sunscreens. I used to be a person who did not find my favorite sunscreens, which is why I wasn't applying that much. But over the past 2 years, I have been finding such nice sunscreens in the market that I have been very thorough with using my sunscreen, also reapplying it during the day. And these are the products that I want to talk to you guys about, the sunscreens that I have loved, their textures, their how they apply on the skin, who might like it more. Let's talk about all of that. Also, I've got a lot of questions on the Requel sunscreens video where a lot of people ask me which one is better for which skin type or which one would suit them. Or even on my L'Oreal video, somebody asked me which one is better, the Requel blue one or the L'Oreal one. And here's my answer to all of those type of questions. It depends on what kind of sunscreen you like to wear. I spent a lot of time wearing sunscreens that I did not like, which made me not fall into the habit of wearing sunscreens regularly, which is why it is very important and it's a very personal choice, as I said it in my L'Oreal video as well, that you find a sunscreen that texture, that feeling of using that sunscreen makes you want to use it more. And if you like that texture, if even if it's moisturizing, even if it's mattifying, if you like that texture, you will make a habit of using it. So it does not depend on what skin type you have, but more like what you feel is better for you. Like last year I was really interested in matte sunscreens, but this year I'm more interested in hydrating sunscreens, and I've changed my mind about it. I really like hydrating sunscreens now, so I've been using a lot of hydrating sunscreens, and I have a few in the bunch, hydrating ones. I have a few matte ones in the bunch, so you can pick your choose. You can choose and pick what you like. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments down below. I will be happy to guide you through. Hold on and follow me on Instagram. I will let you know whenever the lives happen, so you guys can be there and we can chat up on the live sessions. Alright, so the first one we have here is the Requel Oxybenzene and OMC free sunscreen. This is a creamy sunscreen which is very hydrating in nature, but it does not feel oily or greasy on the skin. If you have oily skin, don't be scared of this. I was really scared of this because that time I was completely into a matte face, and I'm going to talk about a sunscreen later on in the video which the same brand has, which is one of my favorite sunscreens, but that is a matte, and I was completely in love with that sunscreen. But this is also such a nice sunscreen. It does not have any white cast. It blends into the skin very well. I love how this feels on the skin. It's soothing. I love that hydrating sunscreens are also very soothing in nature, because when I'm out reapplying the sunscreen, my skin feels a little bit burny or warm because of the sun. And whenever I apply these sunscreens, my skin feels really nice and soothed, which is why I love using the sunscreens, especially when I'm out and reapplying them over and over during the day. So as you can see, this just completely like blends into the skin. It's barely there. It just feels hydrating. It just feels like I've put on a very nice moisturizer on the skin, which is what this feels like, and it's great. It's not oily, it does not feel greasy, nothing like that. I really love this one, and this is very economical as well. This is for 460 rupees. This is SPF 50. It's a non-comedogenic sunscreen. It's for sensitive, oily, acne prone skin is fine. It is PA+++, and really like the sunscreen. This is one of my favorite sunscreens, and I've continuously used it. It's almost over. I just have a little bit to sample it off for you guys, but a great sunscreen. Next one is from this brand called Listen. This is a very nice sunscreen. This is again creamy, hydrating kind of sunscreen. It does not feel greasy or anything, but it's just a nice hydrating sunscreen. This is a newly launched brand on Sublime Life, as I think it is, and I love to carry it because the packaging is so cute. Like, I love this dome shape, and it just feels very nice in my bag. The texture of the sunscreen, again, lightweight, moisturizing, hydrating. It just absorbs in the skin, and it does not feel like a cakey kind of sunscreen that you put on and then after some time when you sweat out in the sun, it just like starts coming off. It does not do that. It just like feels very nice and moisturizing but absorbs really well into the skin. And this is a new find. I've just started using it about like 1 month back, so it's quite new. It's not something that I've experimented with over the year like I have with the Requel one. It is definitely on the pricier side of the sunscreens that I'm talking about today. It costs 1500 for 60 ml of this packaging. I love this sunscreen, but if you're on a budget, I would really recommend you the Requel Oxybenzene and OMC free sunscreen. This is amazing, or any of the ones that I'm going to talk about later. Next we have the Thank You Farmer Sun Project Water Sun Cream. This is such a nice sunscreen, but it's quite hydrating. It's much hydrating and much sort of greasier than the rest of the sunscreens. So oily skin people might not like it as much. It's beautiful, it blends into the skin very well, but it gives you also a glow to the skin. But I am oily and I don't really mind it. But if you have a problem with shininess, or if you have a problem with a little bit of greasiness on your skin, then stay away from this and use the other ones that I'm talking about. This one again jumps into a more pricier steep end. It costs $2,160. It is slightly more expensive, and I would say sunscreen, spending so much on sunscreen is a little bit too much. You could go for any other sunscreens I'm talking about that are slightly more economical. I have one coming up at the end of the video, which is my favorite sunscreen at the moment, and I feel like it is the best sunscreen ever. So if you don't have the price for this, don't pay for this. There are some better sunscreens coming up on my list, but this is also a beautiful sunscreen. I love it. Next I have a matte sunscreen. This is from Regalis. This sunscreen is something that I also give my patients in the clinic, and it's a beautiful sunscreen. We've been having this for about like 4-5 years now, and it's a very very nice sunscreen. It has an SPF of 50 plus, and it's a great matte sunscreen for everyday use. I think I'm done with this. Okay, lightweight, it's a mattifying, more like a primer, so you can use your sunscreens as your primer. If you're wearing a matte sunscreen, you can definitely use it as a primer, and it is very nice and mattifying. Just be careful with it if you're using makeup, or if you're using too many moisturizers and serums before it. It has a tendency of pilling, so just be careful with that. This one retails for 650 rupees. Just be careful with this. There are a lot of dupes in the market, and I'm not talking about dupes, I'm talking about duplicate products in the market that are not as great, and they look like this but they're not exactly that. So just be careful that you're getting the original one. Next I have 3 sunscreens from L'Oreal. I did a review of these in one of my previous videos, and I love all of them, but these 3 I have been using interchangeably and I really love them. Most of all, I've been using the Moist and Fresh and the Matte and Fresh, depending on what I want to feel on that day. Both the formulas are amazing. The Moist and Fresh, again, hydrating sunscreen like the ones that I told you about earlier. The Matte and Fresh is much lighter weight than any of the other matte sunscreens that I've ever used. It feels very light on the skin, but it's still mattifying. It has that primer feeling, but it's still very lightweight, so it does not feel like very heavy on the skin. Formula, the fragrance is not too much. It feels very nice on the skin. It just absorbs very nicely without leaving any white cast or anything. It just feels very nice. And then here we have the Matte and Fresh, which is great for oily skin people who don't like shine. It controls shine, it controls oil, which is great. I love the feeling of this. It feels very nice and like a lotion again, but like a mattifying lotion. It feels very nice. It's not primary. It does not feel like that whole silicone texture that you get like Solar Safe or the one that I'm going to talk about next. It feels very nice and lotiony, just mattifying the skin. It does not have any white cast and no pilling. It feels very very good on the skin. If you feel that your products are pilling, just make sure that you're not using too many layers of moisturizer, too many layers of serum, and that could happen especially with matte sunscreens. But this has not given me any pilling as of yet. Lastly, from the same range, I have the Correct and Protect. This is the only tinted sunscreen I have in the whole pile, because I have other sunscreens but they're like too different to my skin tone, and then they make me look either very white, or they make me look very bronze or very like dull. and for some reason I have not found a tinted sunscreen that works well for my skin. So if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments down below. This is the only tinted sunscreen that I have used that has not done or given me any problems or any issues as of yet. Again, very lotiony, but it has that little tint on it. It absorbs into the skin very well. Does not even feel like you've applied a tinted sunscreen anyway, because it just like blends right into the skin. So I love all of these three sunscreens from L'Oreal. I know it's a little excessive that I could not pick one of the range, but I seriously cannot pick one of the range. If I have to pick, I'll pick the Moist and Fresh. That is one of my favorites, but the other two are also equally good. And if you guys want a mattifying sunscreen in that same range, then you've got one. If you want a tinted one, you've got one, which is why I really like this range. It is beautiful, great formulation. One is not better than the other. It's just about how you feel about it, and you can use which one you like. And this one is the Reequal Ultra Matte Dry Touch Sunscreen Gel. Now I don't know why they call it gel. There's nothing gel about it. I've done a whole review on this one also. I've done a review on the Reequal sunscreen, specifically all of them together, and this sunscreen, oh my god, it took Instagram by storm, because all of the Indian beauty bloggers, skincare influencers, everybody was talking about this sunscreen because it was so good. I loved the sunscreen. This sunscreen is a matte one, but it's a very nice feeling. The one I told you guys about earlier, Solar Safe, it feels exactly like that, but it's much more soft and like the texture is really nice. It does have a tendency to pill slightly if you're using too many moisturizers and things underneath it, so there is a chance of pilling. And the white cast is just like very minimal, that goes away in 15-20 minutes once it has some time to set on your skin. So I really like this sunscreen as well. And this is a great sunscreen if you want a primer type sunscreen or sunscreen that is mattifying. This is great for that. Great ingredients. I loved this a lot. Amongst all the three matte sunscreens I spoke to you guys about, this is my favorite one. I love this one. The price is perfect, the packaging is perfect, the feeling on the skin is perfect. It works really well on my skin. So this is my favorite matte sunscreen, period. And the last one is my favorite hydrating sunscreen of all of them, is this one from Dr. Shades. This is the Ceramide and Vitamin C sunscreen. This sunscreen, you guys, I can bathe myself in this sunscreen because this is so good. It's lightweight, it is hydrating, it feels like a moisturizer. You don't need a moisturizer in the summers. If you have oily skin, you can just use this. This works both ways. You can use it as a moisturizer and a sunscreen. And this formula feels like some really good international sunscreens that I've used. It feels like one of the Korean sunscreens. It actually feels like even the Thank You Farmer sunscreen feels very similar to this. This rules all of the sunscreens that I've spoken about so far. I really love this because you can just put this on and go. Like, you don't really even need a moisturizer because it's nicely hydrating the skin, but it's not making your skin greasy. It's not making your skin look dull or anything like that. It just makes your skin have that moisture as well as that sun protection. So I love this. I hope Dr. Shades come up with like a bigger tube or something that you can put on your body as well, because I do use this when I drive. I put it on my hands and I put it all over my neck and my face, because the sun hits on your palms, and I've started getting a lot of darkening around my hands because of the sun hitting my hands so hard when I'm driving. I love this. I have a tube in my bag, I have a tube in my vanity, I have an extra tube as a backup. I just ordered a lot of these because I use them up so much. This one contains 1% ceramide complex, it contains 2% vitamin C complex, 1% hyaluronic acid, mineral and organic filters. It's a hybrid sunscreen, which is why I really love it. It is also a very economical sunscreen. It costs 499 rupees, but you can use my code and you can get a 20% off on the sunscreen. I'm not telling you this because I have a code. I'm telling you this because I really love Dr. Shades products, and this is one of my favorite sunscreens. It's not going anywhere. I'm gonna rave about this for this year. So all the other brands coming up with sunscreens, you guys need to put your game bar up there, because I am not getting rid of this. I'm going to use this every single day for until I find something much better than this. Alright, so time to show you the texture. It feels, it's like a smooth cream lotiony texture. Feels so good and it's very soothing on the skin. So I love to just lather this on my hands whenever I'm driving, before I drive, before I go out in the sun. I love to slather it around my face, and if I am like, my skin is really warm because of the heat, it just cools my skin down. It feels very nice on the skin. I love how it feels, how it looks. It does not pill, it does not have any white cast. It just feels like you've applied a very nice moisturizer to your skin. And as I've said it before, I love it. I absolutely love it. Alright, so I have listed down all of these sunscreens in the description box below. I also have listed down my discount codes in the description box below. So just in case if you're shopping from any of these websites, you can use these discount codes to get some percentage off. Click right here if you want to know more about AHAs and BHAs, what are chemical exfoliants and what they do for your skin. Click right here, and if you have more questions about skincare, let me know in the comments down below. If you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. Also to subscribe to my channel and click that bell icon right next to it. I will see you in my next video. Bye guys.